My brother, listen. There are moments in history when a word, a prophecy, a truth written thousands of years ago, suddenly stands in the middle of our world today. Jeremiah 49 speaks of Elam, the land of Persia, what we now call Iran, a prophecy that one day its strength would shatter, its bow would be broken, and nations would be shaken. And here we are, Israel, Iran, and yes, even America, caught in that ancient collision. But this isn't just about nations, this is about you. Because prophecy is not only geopolitical, it is personal. You may feel like your own Elam, strong on the outside, broken on the inside. Maybe in dating, maybe in purpose, maybe in the endless scrolling and comparing yourself to others. You put on the armor, you flex, but inside you feel empty. God speaks to nations, yes, but he speaks to men too. And if you listen, you'll hear the same message he gave then. Your bow is not your strength, your ego is not your protection. Your true power comes when you turn back to the one who made you. This prophecy is not ancient dust, it's breathing fire into your life right now. Jeremiah spoke about Elam's bow being broken. In ancient times, the bow wasn't just a weapon. It was identity, it was power, it was how a nation defended itself, how it said to the world, "We are strong, don't mess with us." But the prophecy said God himself would break that bow. Not the enemy, not chance, but God. And here's where it cuts deep for you, brother. Because maybe your bow is your bank account. Maybe it's your car, your muscles, the attention you get on Instagram. Maybe it's the mask you put on so no one sees the pain behind your eyes. And you've been trained to think, as long as I have my bow, I'm okay. But what happens when the bow breaks, when the girl leaves, when the job vanishes, when the confidence crumbles? That's where most men run. They numb out with distractions, with hookups, with scrolling, with pretending. But the prophecy isn't to destroy you. It's to strip you of illusions. The broken bow is the mercy of God. Because only when the bow snaps do you realize you were never supposed to fight with your own strength anyway. And here's the secret. Men today are exhausted because they're fighting battles God never asked them to fight. You think you're battling for status, for validation, for a place in someone's heart. But the real battle is to surrender the bow, to stop depending on what can break, and start holding on to what cannot. Look at Israel, look at Iran, look at America. They all think their bows will last forever. But history proves every empire falls. Nations crumble, strength without foundation collapses, and in your life the same is true. So what do you do when the bow breaks? You don't fake it. You don't run. You drop to your knees and you say, "God, I can't, but you can." That's where the rebuild begins. That's where real masculinity is born. Not in pretending you're bulletproof, but in admitting you bleed and still choosing to rise. Brother, you can build the tallest building in the city, but if the foundation is weak, it doesn't matter how high the glass towers rise. They will collapse. Jeremiah saw this with nations. Elam looked powerful, Persia looked unstoppable, but God said, "I will break their bow." Why? Because the foundation wasn't him. It was pride. It was false strength. Now look at your own life. Maybe you've built a strong exterior. You walk into a room, and people think, "He's got it together." You've got the job, the car, the confidence. But you know the truth when you're alone. You know that when the lights go out and no one's watching, you feel hollow. And that hollowness, it's the sound of a weak foundation. Listen, the culture today tells you to build on quicksand. Get the girl, get the car, get the followers, get the six back, and you'll finally feel enough. And young men buy into it. They hustle, they grind, they flex, but you can't fill a foundation with likes. You can't anchor a soul in clout. The moment life shakes, all of it crumbles. Here's the truth. Strength is not found in appearance. It's not found in validation. It's found in what you can't see. It's found in who you are when nobody's clapping. It's found in integrity, in faith, in choosing to stand when every voice tells you to bow. That's why men today feel so exhausted. They're trying to live skyscraper lives on paper, thin foundations. But God is merciful. He shakes the tower not to destroy you, but to remind you, dig deeper, build on rock, not sand. Stop living for applause that fades and start building for a legacy that lasts. Brother, don't mistake decoration for foundation. You don't need to be the flashiest man in the room. You need to be the man whose ground cannot be shaken. The headlines scream about Israel and Iran, America and its role in the Middle East. Prophecy fulfilled, nations at odds, the bow of Elam cracking. But pause. What if these aren't just news stories? What if they're mirrors? Because every man has his Israel, his Iran, and his America. Three sides of yourself. Israel, the part of you that wants to be faithful, purposeful, aligned with something greater. Iran, the part of you that is prideful, restless, angry, chasing control. And America, the part that's caught in between, powerful but distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions, unsure which side to stand with. Brother, doesn't that sound like you? One part of you wants to do the right thing, one part wants to rebel, and one part just wants comfort. And you're at war. This is the prophecy inside of you. If you keep fighting yourself, if you keep splitting your identity, you'll never know peace. And here's the reality. Every man who feels lost, every man who feels stuck in dating, in purpose in life, it's because he hasn't chosen which side of himself to feed. Israel teaches us, align with truth. Iran warns us, pride leads to collapse. America reminds us, power without clarity leads to chaos. The war in your soul is real, but prophecy shows us you can't serve two masters. Sooner or later, you must choose. And the choice will shape everything. When Jeremiah spoke of Elam's fall, it wasn't just judgment. Hidden in the words was mercy. God breaks the bow not to leave you weaponless, but to show you what real strength looks like. This is the paradox most men miss. You think falling means failure. You think rejection, heartbreak, mistakes mean you're disqualified. But in God's economy, the fall is the classroom. Mercy hides in the breaking. Think about your life. The girl that broke you, the job you lost, the moment you thought, I can't come back from this, that wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Because mercy doesn't always feel soft. Sometimes mercy feels like everything you depended on being ripped away. The fall is what wakes you up. The fall forces you to realize you're not as self-sufficient as you thought. And that's not weakness, that's mercy, because men who think they don't need God become prisoners of their own pride. Elam fell, nations fall, you will fall, but listen closely, falling doesn't mean it's over. Falling means God is rebuilding you on a stronger foundation than before. If you let Him, your weakest moment will become your greatest strength. Brother, let's get real. Modern dating feels like war. Swipe culture, ghosting, endless games. It's exhausting, and for many men, it feels like no matter what you do, it's never enough. You feel invisible, but here's the truth. The culture has lied to you about what masculinity is. They've told you it's about how many women you can attract, how much status you can show. But that's not strength, that's performance. That's insecurity in disguise. The prophecy of Elam speaks here too. The bow is broken. The weapons of false masculinity will not win. Because deep down, women aren't looking for men who can perform. They're looking for men who are present, who are grounded, who can lead not with ego but with peace. If you're struggling in dating, it's not because you're not enough. It's because you've been told to fight with the wrong weapons. You don't need to be louder. You need to be truer. You don't need to chase, you need to stand. Masculinity under siege? Absolutely. But the siege will not win if you reclaim what it means to be a man of value. And that begins not with chasing women, but with chasing purpose. So what now? The prophecy has been spoken. The bows are breaking, the wars are raging. Where does that leave you? It leaves you with a choice. Will you keep fighting with broken weapons, or will you rise with unshakable truth? Brother, the call is clear. You are being summoned to rise. Not as the culture tells you, not as the trends dictate, but as a man who knows his strength isn't in the bow, but in the one who holds him. Rising doesn't mean you'll never feel fear. It means you choose courage anyway. Rising doesn't mean you'll never feel lost. It means you refuse to stay down. Rising means you live not for applause, but for impact. The world needs men who will rise. Women need men who will rise. Your future, your family, your legacy, they are waiting on you to rise. This is your prophecy. This is your moment. Don't waste it. Brother, you've heard the word. You've felt the fire. Now it's time to move. Don't just scroll past. Don't bury this moment. Hit like if this stirred something inside you. Drop a comment. I want to hear your story. Share this with a brother who's struggling. And subscribe, because this is not just content. This is a calling. Together, we're building a movement of men who will not bow, but will rise. Your bow may break, but your spirit will not. Stand, rise live.